Your latest note calls the Robinhood Bitstamp deal an important marker of the current market and says Robinhood's acquisition of Bitstamp shows valuations have, quote, right-sized again. Why do you think valuations have come back to earth?
Well, a couple of reasons. One, just from a macro perspective, all valuations have become more reasonable. I think in the 2020, 2021 timeframe, we were living in kind of a euphoric environment, particularly for valuation. There were a number of reasons why you saw rounds go higher. You had a lot of market participants that wanted to get involved in the crypto industry. Putting capital in when maybe they weren't 100% focused on it. So investing discipline may have been, could have been a little bit better. And so that led to a series of valuations that were, we'll call it inflated now that we get to look back. And with the Robinhood acquisition of Bitstamp, it really helps us reset the market to what we are finding today for market clearing prices.
So overall, why do you think Robinhood's acquisition of Bitstamp is a good sign for the crypto industry?
Yeah, one of the most important reasons is what we call bridge transactions. That's when a traditional company acquires a crypto native business. It's really important for our industry. When I say our industry, crypto, it's important for us to have adoption from others than just the crypto natives. We're not going to have too much success as an industry if we are only playing with ourselves. And so with Robinhood, we have a traditional publicly traded company, although they are skewing towards more the innovation side, that is acquiring Bitstamp, which has long been a 10 plus year track record, has a really good reputation of following the regulatory landscape and frameworks. They have one of the more robust regulatory licensing regimes. And Robinhood is now gets the opportunity to grow their crypto business, which in Q1 was reported to be about 20% of their revenues. Now they get to apply that playbook from a global perspective.
And the acquisition was announced last week, about a month after Robinhood disclosed that the SEC had sent it a Wells notice and warned that upon completion of an investigation, the trading platform could be charged over its crypto operations. Your latest note also emphasized that the deal with Bitstamp would expand Robinhood's global reach, as you just noted, and would ensure its global participation in crypto trading at a time when its crypto division is under scrutiny by the SEC. Do you think Robinhood's move to acquire an international crypto exchange was strategic, especially given the timing just weeks after the trading platform got that Wells notice?
Yeah, it's fascinating the way Robinhood's last 31 days has played out. They got the Wells notice shortly after they announced a staking product in Europe, which we all know staking has been controversial from a regulatory perspective here in the US. Then they announced record revenues for crypto in the US, and then they announced the acquisition of Bitstamp. To us, this is behavior of a company that may not be too intimidated by the SEC and the Wells notice that they received. We hope that this is in line with the improving US regulatory political environment. We've always lived in a hostile environment. If our industry gets anywhere close to neutral, or dare I say even positive, I think it'll be a very transformative tailwind to how our industry operates. So there have been many on your show that have been talking about the SEC and the current stance. Robinhood's move could be an indication that publicly traded companies here in the US have confidence that crypto as a business has strong prospects going forward, particularly from a regulatory environment.
Interesting. Now, Architect Partners is an M&A and financing advisor for crypto companies. And you also put out a note last week providing a snapshot on crypto public companies. In it, you point out that the last 2 weeks saw, quote, meaningful M&A activity for crypto public companies. According to Architect Partners, crypto M&A activity is experiencing a rapidly increasing pace. Over the last 2 years, there was $1.2 billion in total announced consideration, In the last 2 weeks alone, you note that there was $2.3 billion in total announced consideration. And we talked about the Robinhood Bitstamp deal, but what other recent potential deals in the crypto space have you been paying attention to? We've seen a couple involving Bitcoin miners, which were rejected. What does that signal to you?
Yeah, well, the signal, you said it best. I mean, talk about total consideration paid. We talked about valuation earlier. Um, we have not been in this market environment where we've been seeing this type of activity for 2 years, for 24 months. That's a long time. And when you think about the last 2 weeks with four M&A transactions that have been announced, it gets us really excited. And it gets us excited. One, there are a few strategic themes at play. We talked about Robinhood acquiring Bitstamp, bridge transactions. A second theme here is crypto businesses bolstering their comprehensive services. And so for BitDeer, they had acquired an ASIC chip designer called DesiWeMiner. That's an example of a crypto business really trying to become vertically integrated in the value proposition that they provide to the market. A third theme playing out is building a category leader. And when you look at Riot's proposed acquisition of Bitfarms, the whole thesis is how can that combined entity become the largest publicly traded Bitcoin miner? That's a significant statement, and that's attractive for a number of different reasons, particularly post fourth halving. And then finally, the last theme, it's a little bit buzzy, but it is the AI and crypto theme, where CoreWeave, which is an AI-focused platform, privately held, proposed a combination with Core Scientific. And so a lot of groups are saying, well, how can AI and crypto play together? This is in motion. And again, they rejected that one, but it is a real sign of M&A activity for particular themes playing out. And one thing to note, that CoreWeave and Core Scientific, the consideration announced was $1 billion. And in December of 2022, Core Scientific was going through a bankruptcy process. So a really remarkable turnaround for that organization, and a good indicator of the growth of Bitcoin mining, particularly in publicly traded companies.
So, what do you attribute this increasing pace for crypto M&A activity to? And what's your outlook for crypto M&A activity? Do you see this momentum continuing?
Yes, we see the momentum continuing. Right now, we are updating our mid-year analysis and some key takeaways here. One, and reasons why acquirers are really taking this seriously now. The first is the innovation curve is steep. What I mean by that is crypto and blockchain more broadly is still a new technology. And it's not just something that most developers can just pick up and build on immediately. It takes significant time and resources to build this product correctly. And most traditional companies don't have that skill set. They don't have the time, or they don't want to risk getting this wrong. So the build strategy is fraught with potholes and pitfalls. And does it make more sense to buy? The second is scarcity of crypto companies. When you look at the crypto landscape in Architect Partners, we've classified 12 different subsectors. There are only really a handful of companies who meet traditional acquirer requirements. And what are some of those requirements? One, revenue mature. Is the business in a place where they're actually delivering clients and real revenues? And is there product market fit? Are we past that stage? Are we into the growth stage? The answer has to be yes. Second, very important, you got to be reputationally intact. We all have known from being in our industry, all the headlines that we've seen hit our industry in these last few years. Who are those that have been able to navigate that environment with their reputations intact? That's a really, really high quality requirement. Third, operating within existing regulatory frameworks. It is very difficult to be able to build businesses with regulatory frameworks that actually, quite honestly, don't exist yet. They're being built in real time. But those that have opted to operate within those frameworks that are in process, I think they're going to be rewarded in the end. And the last piece is being a market leader in their respective subsectors. Acquirers don't want to acquire number 3 or 4 or 5 in a particular subsector. They want number 1 and 2. So can these companies be able to build the number 1 and 2 positioning that really positions them to be acquired by larger companies? So you look at Bitstamp, they're off the table now, and acquirers are now asking who's left with a similar profile. There may not be as many as acquirers think.
Before I let you go, switching gears, you were at Consensus 2024, the end of last month, one of the biggest crypto conferences in the world, along with about 15,000 attendees and some of the biggest names in the industry. What were some of your observations?
Observations are one, the institutions are there. They may not be have a large presence, but they all are there. And they are trying to understand what is happening. Two, unfortunately, we still have a lot of noise in this cycle. We've got the whole meme coin thing to deal with, but a lot of that noise is starting to dissipate. The people that are here, the people that have been in this industry and driving things forward the right way, we are the ones that are now starting to emerge. And from a U.S. perspective, yes, we're still at the mercy of the political environment, but I think that is starting to change, and crypto is going to be on the ballot in 2024. And if we get some regulatory clarity, it really feels like number of the S&P 500 companies, I say 66 or 2/3, will have a crypto or blockchain product in their companies by 2030. So we think that there is going to be a nice little run here. I've been calling it the Great Surge.
And it certainly will be very interesting to see if that comes true. Elliot Chun with Architect Partners, thank you very much for your comprehensive insight on M&A activity in the crypto space and other themes to look out for. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Dahlia.